standing arm locks of judo. We'll focus mainly on proper technique. We'll talk about some ways that you can use your system or your background to get into finding some of these to be able to implement them into self-defense situations. The main thing is safety. We want to practice these slow. Main reason for that is you need your partner. You don't want to injure your partner when these come on, especially in a live grappling, live sparring situation. They can come on quicker than either one of you can realize and create a great deal of injury. The other thing that you miss by going fast is postural cues. So if I'm using this, I want to notice when my partner's posture starts to break so that I can capitalize on that. Some opponents could be more flexible than others. So where one person responds or starts to break their posture, another may not even budge. I want to be able to pick up on that through different training partners so that I'm not chasing after a lock that may not happen. Anything else, I want to maintain proper position as well as a defensive position against his counter strikes. So he's not going to let me have his arm in space. I'm going to have to work for it, and I want to maintain my offensive attitude so that I can follow up or disengage if need be, to let the strike go, let the lock go, move into a throw, something else. So not necessarily chasing after the lock as if it's my only option. It's there. If we get it, that's great. Then we can continue down that path, using it for a takedown, using it for a control, like a come along, escort holds, or if need be, using it for a break to sort of disengage and engage other opponents or to finish the initial aggressor. So practice safely. You can always turn up the speed when you're ready to, but it's better to do these things slow than to risk injury. The first lock we're going to look at is Waki Gatame. It typically translates as armpit arm lock. If I have my opponent, the proper position is going to be almost having his tricep closer towards the shoulder, up towards my armpit, and I'm going to be controlling the wrist or the distal forearm in some manner. I want to leverage up, so I don't want to lean over into him. I want to sit and rotate. If you notice where my legs are, I don't want to be tangled in his legs. If I'm doing it this way, one of his escapes is to use his knee to the back of my leg to break my posture, to release the lock, and then he's mobile again. So I want to take a position away from his supporting leg, maybe behind, or at least out to the side, creating some space. I can just use a monkey paw to grip the wrist, so I don't have to get into fancy controls with the thumbs at this stage. And again, I want to sit, so the lowering as my hands come up, and that's what I'm looking for, is the pressure against his shoulder. So this is a straight arm lock. Whenever we're doing a straight arm lock, we have to consider that some of the ways out is either going to be him to bend it, so either rolling it up or rolling it down. So we'll get into some of those variations here in a minute. Some of the positions I can use are to feed the hand to the other hand, and I can start to compound the lock. Some people call this cumulative locking, where I'm using a cote dori or a wrist trap technique. So once I get the initial lock, I can compound it further by just pressing the knuckles in towards the forearm. I want to maintain my balance, so again, I can look around. I'm mobile. I don't want to be stuck in trying to lean on this. Some of the examples, if he's trying to wiggle out, so I can continue that right into a gooseneck. So if I have the trap as he rotates in, and again, I just want to follow him out. In judo and jiu-jitsu, the principle is ju, or pliability, flexibility. It is not that I'm going to sit here and fight to apply this arm lock. This is a dynamic situation. If I get to this point, that's wonderful. But in this particular arm lock, I'm not going to take him all the way down to the ground using it. It's going to be a quick break, or just use as an off balance to be able to get him to another position or lead him into a second throw. If the elbow starts to turn upwards, if he's rolling the shoulder, I can continue. So notice the position of the hips. I'm sitting, but not relying on his balance on his thigh to trap him, and I'm going to continue to roll in an udigarami. So if I have a straight lock and he starts to resist and bends the elbow, I transition to a bent lock. If I begin with a bent lock and he begins to push away, I transition to a straight lock. So I'm following the energy my opponent's giving me, which is another good reason to practice slowly. If we're going fast, we miss these subtle points. It also is easier to find where my controls are. So if I need to slip down to bite the thumb with my hand, if I need to start to apply pressure points or nerve points to help accentuate this lock, I'm not going to find those. So you fight how you train. If I train to go fast and miss all the fine points, then my technique will never grow. If I practice slowly and understand control on when and where I have control, my technique and skill will improve. When you start trying to implement standing arm bars from judo, jiu-jitsu, any of the grappling or throwing arts, we have to reintroduce the striking concepts and or blocking concepts that used to go with them. We're not going to get to a situation where we're just going to walk in and be able to grab somebody's arm in space and apply this lock. One of the concepts we can use for a template is throwing a bolo punch as we slip and evade from a straight right. So as he throws a straight right, I'm going to keep my guard up. I'm going to fade to the outside. I'm going to throw a bolo punch. As I turn the hips over for the bolo punch, I'm going to let this continue down. I'm going to start to pivot my right foot back, and that's my capture. So if the arm is bent, again, I can take this into an udigarami. And again, I have the leg to assist with the throw. If I wind up a little deeper on that, and I come out towards the wrist, the break is there by itself. So I can use this for the break. I can use the legs, like we've done in the Gari videos, to start to offset him and set him up for further striking. I can also use this if my pivoting or my tenkan skills are up to par, where I come in, this is a break, I continue around to the elbow and the spine if I need to disengage or evade or engage multiple opponents. So ideally, that would be the break in itself. The idea with these videos is not to follow what I do, but to how to find this information or find this lock from your skill set or your base.